Welcome to the Scottish Property Podcast. This is a show where we aim to educate, inspire and entertain through real life stories and interviews from people in the Scottish property community.
As always, thanks for listening and give us a follow on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Remember to join us at our monthly networking events on the first Wednesday of every month. Tickets are available on our website. So without further ado, we'll just cut straight into this week's podcast.
Welcome to the Scottish Property Podcast and the Cramond. How are you, mate?
Thank you very much. Yeah, very well, thank you.
Thanks for joining us. We're going to cover quite a lot of ground here from a professional rugby player. We've got quite a track record again.
He's a big, tall, strapping lad, this guy here. So
he's a professional rugby player, property investor, a part of hotels, now becoming a buying agent for multi-million pound investors looking for their own homes and stuff. So we've got a lot to cover.
Yeah.
So let's do a wee bit of background on you, mate. Take us back and tell us about your story.
So Andy Cramond from Cramond in a little suburb of Edinburgh. Born and raised in Edinburgh up to the age of 18, and then went up to Aberdeen for mechanical engineering, moved up to university, lasted about a year and a half there before I sort of got offered a contract, professional rugby out in France. So decided to leave that and pursue the career in rugby. Took the jump out to France. And
you get a hard time for your parents and all that at the time when they're like, get the degree behind you, get the trade behind you, like you're going to just go and follow the dream and play in sports.
Yeah, I don't think I really did it, but I think everyone was quite supportive of it. I never thought I was going to be a rugby player. That was kind of never the plan. Hence going to university, playing rugby for fun of it, and then sort of started playing quite well at under 20s level. And realised if I did sort of knuckle down, I probably could get a chance of picking up a contract. So, yeah, I was offered a contract at Glasgow, offered a contract out at Toulon in France, and chose to go out to the south of France. I think it was a bit of a no-brainer.
That was the first professional experience you had.
Yeah. So I went from Aberdeen Grammar to Toulon, at that point, 2 times European champions.
Because I don't think none of us know too much about rugby, but it's dead interesting. So, like the French league's they're quite high standard. They're quite well regarded.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no, it's got better and better. As I say, so Toulon at that point they won. They were basically the Real Madrid of rugby at that point. All the world superstars, everyone that I'd grown up watching was part of that squad. So it was pretty cool place to be. They won 3 European Cup Champions Leagues. They won 3 European Cups in a row at that point.
Were you getting regular starts there, or were you trying to break in?
So yeah, I joined the academy and we got to train with those guys all the time. Played a handful of games with the first team while I was there.
Right, okay.
And then so I was there for 3 years, and then dropped down a league to get that first team rugby. So I went up to Van, which is in Brittany, in the northwest. I was there again for 3 years. That ended a little bit short, just the COVID years, 2019 or 2020, and then moved down to Biarritz.
What league are Biarritz in?
So at that point, my first year, that was Pro League 2, that was the second division. But then we got promoted back up to top 14 that year. So that was a pretty cool experience. Part of the promotion celebrations, and our president, pretty wealthy. Well, he's a Frenchman, lives in Canada, got a business in Hong Kong, and so to celebrate, they took us to Ibiza, private jet out to Ibiza,
nice.
3 yachts, and had a nice week out there celebrating the promotion.
Did you have a part to play in that whole season as well? Were you?
Yeah. No, so I was kind of the main line out guy. Don't know, different positions in rugby, different roles. So I was the line out caller. I was kind of the main guy in the forwards with that. But then throughout my career, I struggled with concussions, 2 injuries, and that's why my career sort of ended a bit earlier. But so I missed that last the final, our promotion match. I missed that through injury, unfortunately. But
oh man,
so I wasn't on the pitch in that last game, but helped the boys get to that place.
How does that kind of play on your mind then when you're struggling with that? Those kind of injuries and that. Is it a kind of case of do you ultimately, does the decision get made for you, or did you have to reach a decision to?
Yeah.
Did you quit basically, or?
No, it was a bit of a mixture. I struggled throughout my career with concussions, so sort of every season I would be out for a few months, just having to sit on the sidelines. So I knew I was never going to be one of these players that played to 35. I was going to have to stop at some point with the sort of increased information around the dangers of concussions. So that's throughout my career that got more and more relevant. So I knew I wasn't obviously wanting to go through that risk. And it did get to that point where I went to see a doctor. It was that season we got promoted when I was out at the end of that season. Saw him in this summer to give me the okay to get back into pre-season for the following season. And he just said, look, if you get one more before Christmas, like, you're done. So, yeah. So
how does that present itself then in different people? Because obviously for you, it was a case of like, you said you had that consistent.
Yeah.
Like, is it just kind of your luck or?
I think so. I think that that was in my last few games, I was kind of on the pitch and I see one of my teammates making a tackle or getting hit and I'd be like, he's done. Like if that was me, I'd be completely knocked out and they'd just like pop up. That's kind of when I realized I became so susceptible to it. Like it was at the point where every game I played, I'd probably be getting one. So that was when I knew it was kind of time to stop.
And MMA fighters, they get so far in their career, and as soon as they get knocked out once, they're prone to the knockouts. And it's the people that are renowned for not being knocked out. It happens once; it's always there.
Exactly.
Tell us a wee bit about living in France, then, because like I've got some French in me as well. I'm half French, so I lived in France for a while.
Right.
I know Biarritz really well.
Français?
Mais oui, je parle français. So Biarritz, like for me, it was like surfing. I went down there to do surfing.
Okay.
Did you do any of that?
Tried a wee bit. I remember one summer my wife did like a sort of boot camp and I'd hurt my shoulder or something, so I wasn't able to do it, but I was always meaning to get back into it. Do actual proper lessons to try and do it properly, because I would go out with a mate and with a board and try and stand up on a wave and not very successfully.
As a young guy though, the beaches down there, it's pretty good though, isn't it?
No, I say that, it was beautiful, and with the sunglasses on.
And the women?
Sunglasses on.
These Ray-Bans we go down well, recording specs.
You might get kicked off the beach of them,
Now, I'm talking about 25 years ago for me, by the way, just in case anybody's sitting listening there going, I thought he was married with 3 kids. Yes, I am, but I was young once as well.
No, but for me, I'd lived in sort of the three corners of France: south, east, north, west, and then the southwest. And Biarritz, I'd definitely say that is the sort of best part of France.
Did you meet anybody down there? Any relationships? Any love long term?
No, so my now wife, we met her in Aberdeen, so I was with her throughout my stint in France.
Whoa, that sounds like quite a waste.
No, she's happily married.
Right, so you're married now?
Yeah, we got married 18 months ago.
30 years old, did you say?
Yeah. So that all kind of coincided again. And so career sort of ended back up to top 14, and then 6th game of the season finished up. Stayed in France for sort of another year. We had a house there. I was in my last, when I moved to Biarritz, I was like, I'm buying something. I'm buying a project, getting on the ladder, wanted the renovation project. And then
just something you're always interested in, or just because you thought it was the right
property is expensive down there though, isn't it?
It is. So so with rugby, you obviously get quite a lot of free time. There's a lot of training, train hard, but you get quite a lot of free time, recovery time. So throughout my career, I was always interested in property. I don't really know where that came from. Like my dad's a stocks and shares man. Like he's an accountant, and like I've spoken to him about investing property. He's just, the roofs and there's all this, and like he's not interested. So I don't really know where my interest came in it. I think probably through a few other rugby players, you hear stories of them buying stuff when they're younger, and then now they've got a portfolio for the end of their career. So I suppose that was probably something I was aware of. So I tried to educate myself in my free time as much as possible, watching all YouTube videos, reading books, and listening to podcasts. And
seems to be more popular than the rugby network rather than the football network. Is that a fair assumption?
So I think on networks, I think the footballers kind of look at rugby network as with a bit of jealousy. I think the rugby network really do help each other out. I don't know much about the football network, but that's sort of heard people saying, it does seem that the rugby network is a lot more supportive. So then doing all this education, sort of self-learning down in France, decided, right, wherever I end up my next contract, I'm going to buy something, I'm going to get a project. Just so happened that it was Biarritz.
So wait a minute, what age were you here then when you bought your first property that you ever bought then was in France, in Biarritz?
Yeah.
What age?
26,
all right.
27.
And where'd you get the money to buy that then?
Professional rugby player.
That came from your...
Well, it was. The great thing about France, there's pros and cons of France, but the banking system there was pretty cool. So you get long-term fixed mortgage rates. So at that point, COVID 2020, 1.25% fixed for 24 years. And then you're able to borrow. So I think we bought it at 340. We're able to borrow, I think
340 euros.
Yeah, we borrowed another 100 grand for renovation cost. That was all part of the mortgage. So we had or was it 360? I think we had a 460 grand mortgage. So that gave us money to develop it. Probably went a wee bit more than that. We were probably in for about 120, and we put a pool and everything in the garden.
Nice.
So yeah, it was this old smelly house, over 2 floors, 3 beds, nothing had been touched in 60 years. We came in, turned sort of the garage downstairs, turned that into like a self-contained unit, refurbed it all upstairs, chucked a pool in the garden.
Wow.
And then when I retired, that also helped me during my retirement, because I started it while I was still playing.
Give you a bit of focus as well.
Exactly. Then I had to stop. At least I had that to focus on. I think that really helped me like with that transition. And then, ultimately, when I decided to come back to Edinburgh, sold the house there, made like 200 grand profit.
Nice.
And then that gave me time back here. At first, we bought a flat back in Edinburgh. That gave me 6 months. I just sort of renovated that for 6 months. That was kind of my full-time job.
Not tempted to keep the house and
we were.
It's as a wee holiday.
Exactly. So we did look at all the different options. Renting it out long term, keeping it as a family home, doing Airbnb. They're tightening, restricting things with Airbnb over there as well. Yeah. And one factor was there was no direct flights to Biarritz from Edinburgh, so you had to go to like Bordeaux or San Sebastian, and then it was a bit of a. Yeah, well, this is it. So then it was, and then literally when we sold it, they then announced direct flights. No, but still, I think capital gains obviously as a personal thing. We didn't pay any.
Plus, you probably saw like I can do more with this money at this point in my life.
Reinvest that,
and
100%.
You know what? You're only 30.
Exactly.
You can go back in a few years' time and go buy something else.
Exactly.
How did you find the process in France for the transaction, buying and all that? Was it pretty straightforward?
Yeah, it was, again, I didn't know any different. It was the first time I'd done it. But there was, my French is good, but it's not like my English. So there were certain bits I wasn't quite sure if I understood everything. So there was a bit of trusting sort of the banker to sort in the mortgage. I was like, I did trust him. I was kind of knew him through a friend, and I was like, look, is this the product you'd be taking?
What about the construction and renovation? How did you find dealing with contractors and trades out there?
Yeah, there was a bit of a delay at times. My wife had to, so he kind of did the main part of the house, and then he was supposed to come back and do the garage conversion, and then he sort of took ages, and then my wife one day, he supported the rugby team, Biarritz, and then after the game once, my wife just she like burst into tears with him to say like, please just come back and fucking finish it. So then he did. Literally the next day he was there, and he got on with it. So
otherwise you'll be banned from going to the rugby for life.
Well, exactly. Yeah, I'll bar you from the stadium. So no, it all worked out pretty well in the end. And then, as I say, when I came back with that pot of money, that meant I didn't have to rush into a job that I didn't want to do. Yeah. It gave me 6 months. We bought our flat here, did it up.
Give you a taste for that, the renovation.
Was there any others?
So that was it, the development stuff. That was kind of what I was really interested in. And then,
did you get your hands dirty in that project yourself?
Yeah. Well, I did. Yeah, that was sort of first job. Again, I know you're not supposed to, as an investor, you're not supposed to be wasting your time doing work yourself. Well, I just basically became the labourer for the contractor. I'm pretty handy myself. Like my flat here, obviously main job's we had to put gas at central heating into the property, so obviously plumbers for all that. Proper joinery stuff, got joiners in, but most of the sort of building kitchen cabinets and all the sort of smaller jobs I was able to put my hand to, and I enjoy it. So yeah, it was good fun for those 6 months. And
did you look at that project and first flat back in Edinburgh as an investment as well? Did you kind of do your due diligence?
Yeah, exactly. So I'd seen all the comps. It was fortunately for us, unfortunately for the family, it was an executive sale.
Right.
We knew that the sellers, like the son who was the executor, lived in Selkirk, I think he was, and he was coming up doing the viewings himself. So we were able to get a decent deal, sort of under home report of that. It's a nice part of Edinburgh, so not normally at that stage where we're going under home report, but we managed to get a bit of a deal on that. So yeah, we've built up quite a bit of equity. That we had a refresh home report just a couple of months ago, so we've got a good chunky amount of equity in there, which is nice. And then when we finished renovating that, it was like, right, okay, what am I going to do? And it was Coxie. Quite a few during my career when I was finishing. A few guys had said you should speak to Coxie if you want to get into property. Just for the listeners, this is John Cox, who owns Cox & Co, who's been on the podcast before, and they've got like, they've got a multiple property business,
mortgages, and
they work sourcing
investors as well. They get investors in to build their portfolios and stuff like that. So
that was it. So I'd explain.
So you knew him through the rugby?
Well, yeah, I know of him. I hadn't met him before.
Oh, right, okay. Let's take a quick break, guys, from today's show to talk about selling your property with Prime Property Auctions. Now, myself and Stephen have both used John and Lewis from Prime in the past, and we can personally vouch for their service. They sell vacant and tenanted property, and you get to control the minimum reserve price so that you're not selling your property for peanuts. They pay for all the stuff like photos, videos, and all the marketing stuff up front, so you're not paying anything from the start, and it's a no sale, no fee. So if you want to check out Prime Property Auctions, then get across to the link on the show notes and speak to the guys.
And then I was explaining to someone, what I'm wanting to do, sort of the portfolio building service, hands off for the investor, and they said, well, I should speak to John, that's exactly what they do. And having struggled sort of while I was between France and Scotland, I was trying to sort of start the sourcing business, and pretty hard graft getting started from scratch with no track record, trying to convince someone to give you 300 grand of their money to buy a portfolio for them with no track record. So hence the opportunity came up to go in with under the sort of umbrella of Cox & Co, leverage their brands and sort of experience. And that worked really well. Did a bit of a stay agency with them as well.
Nice.
So I was doing that for the kind of past 18 months. And then recently just parted ways just for me to concentrate on sort of my own thing. With a couple of developments on the go, just kind of that's the main focus at the moment.
Let's talk us through the developments before we go into what you're working on now.
Yeah. So we've got a former B&B in South Queensferry, just down on the high street. It's opposite, across the road from Morocco Pier. If anybody knows South Queensferry,
good location.
It's a great location. Yeah. So we're just on the raised pavement on the other side of the roads.
So when you say former B&B, is that like describe the type of building, the house?
It's an old building, probably 1700s or something. There's actually rooms? A cafe. There's actually a cafe at the front. There has been a cafe. We were going to convert that into a studio, and then sort of 5 rooms, one through the back, and then the two on each floor above.
Nice.
So 6 in total. So 6 service apartments, cooking, cleaning facilities within. So kind of a part hotel model. That's where we're sort of
seems to be a lot of people going down that route.
Yeah,
obviously
easier for the license as well.
That's it. So 5 or more in the block, then you sort of you're exempt from the licensing. So that's it. With more restrictions coming in, less stock available, I think there's a real opportunity to, if you can find properties that are suitable to the apart hotel sort of model.
And what would be your market for that? South Queensferry, like your target market?
Yes, so we're pretty fortunate. Again, at first when the opportunity arose, I was kind of like, I don't know how much demand there will be there. Like, a bit of tourism. And I thought more of it. I looked into it more and more. So there's within 4 miles of it, there's 7 wedding destinations.
Yes. Right.
Some of them have some rooms on site, like a Morocco Pier do weddings. They've got 13 rooms or. So there's some overspill there. There's Rosebery Estate and things that don't have accommodation.
Norton House is near there as well.
Yeah, Carl Lowry and Dundas Castle, and so our plan is to sort of partner up with them, and so they can offer accommodation to wedding guests.
You've been through South Queensferry recently?
Just not recently, no.
Always rammed. It's a busy place. It's only a few miles from me. Like, it's just
So then with the management company we're going to use, he came in to see it first. He was like, "I'll be 100% full with American tourists." And again, that's something I hadn't even really considered.
Right. Because you think they're going to be staying like Royal Mile and all
exactly.
That.
But they apparently love the bridges. We've got views of the bridges from the sort of top floor.
Yeah, so everybody goes to the photos of the bridges.
It's because there's June Bakery just opened across the road, which is becoming one of these Instagram sort of hotspots. So try and leverage some of that Instagrammability. Babcock across the water, for executives that come up, having the cooking facilities within the unit. Hopefully
parking on site, or
there's 2 free car parks within 100 meters. So there's nothing on site as we're right on the high street. But
what stage are you at? Sorry, in the process of that?
We're still kind of rebuild stage. We're not quite. The windows are we're replacing the single glazed windows, double glazed windows. So the window joiner's there at the moment. He's sort of halfway through.
Wasn't listed at that, or?
So we're keeping the sash in case. We've been able to drop a second glaze into the frame.
Right.
So we're keeping the traditional look, but we've got enough room on the sort of existing wooden frame that we can drop a second glazing.
Can we dig into this project then a little bit more in terms of numbers and stuff like that? Or
maybe not. I'll keep that close to myself for now.
Okay. And funding, is it your money, or have you worked with others?
So I've got a business partner in this, and then we had a private investor helped us. He sort of lent us some of the money for the purchase price, and then with the exit, we're going to refinance. So I'm going through the refinance process at the moment. Pay off the investor, and we'll keep hold of the asset.
How's the refinancing process going for the apart hotel? I mean, I suppose it won't be done on occupancy rate or...
Yeah, no. So you get sort of, when you're valuing an apart hotel, there's 3 different valuations that they come up with that the surveyors will go. So market value 1, which would be if you've got at least a year's trading history, and you get, depending on the location, the quality of the properties, it could be a 12 multiple of the EBITDA, so the net profit. We would be market value 2, which would be sort of ready to go, but with no trading history, license in place. You might get a 8 multiple of that, and then there's also then just sort of bricks and mortar valuation.
Yeah.
So
you going for the second one?
We'll hopefully get the 2.
Yeah.
Again,
you anticipating that that'll get most of the money back out off the deal, like? Or?
It should well do. I mean, we're probably only looking to raise about 50% of the value to just pay off the investor, take a little bit of money back ourselves, and just keep that mortgage as low as possible, just to keep the cash flow as high as possible. Get that 2 years of trading history, and then we can go and try and get full value for it. Or just have that equity within the property to, if we find another project, be able to sort of leverage that.
So what's the kind of the labour split between you and your business partner on this then? Are you?
He's kind of more that he's got sort of 10 years of development history. I've obviously got a couple of projects, residential, but it's his sort of build team that he's worked with for the last 10 years as well. So he's kind of the project manager on the development side of things. I'm a bit more on the sort of operations and the finance sort of planning and all this, the background, finding the deals.
Is this somebody that you've known for a while, did you say?
Yeah. He's been in the property game for 20 odd years, been doing some development. So we met a few years ago and just kind of always thought, right, we'll do something together. Somebody brought me this property, to see if I could find them a buyer, and then we kind of looked at it and was like, oh, we'll buy it off you. So
have you set up a limited company structure together then?
Yeah. That's just sort of finalising the group structure. So we've got some for the future plans.
So plans for growth with this same strategy, you think? Yeah,
that's it. So that's kind of the idea. Is we get this one up and running, get outsourced management, get that residual income, which then just covers the bills and then just allows us to concentrate on growing that model. That's kind of the
so you're looking at that and pretty much and thinking this is going to become a trading business in its own right then eventually.
Yeah, well, that's the idea. Yeah, exactly. So that's it with with apart hotel stuff, short-term let things. There's between trading or investment company, there's certain stipulations you need to meet with the accountant to make sure that it is classed as a trading company. I mean, I suppose that comes down to sort of inheritance things in the future, but I mean, sort of max stays of 30 days, at least if it's rented out at least 210 days of the year, it can be classed as a trading company.
So just remind me again, because a lot of people find this interesting because we just did the interview with Fiona Campbell and we talked about planning and all the rest of it. But what happens with your one then with that building? Do you have to do? So
we've not got a use class. So I am speaking to planners at the moment to see. We might potentially have to get sui generis, which is sort of the use class for service apartments. But at the end of the day, I've spoken to Fiona about it, and end of the day, it's been a B&B. It's been trading as that all along. So we are kind of the opinion that again that might be too much common sense for
too much presumptions. What local authority is it?
Edinburgh.
It's Edinburgh. Edinburgh Council.
Yeah. But we may have to get sui generis.
Actually, somebody posted on, I think it was Russell actually. Russell posted on a Facebook group the other day, or no, maybe it was just his Facebook, that he got a licence approved for in a tenement flat in a shared close in Edinburgh. Yeah. And everyone's like that. It's just not going to happen. Try it. You know what I mean? So just don't even bother going there.
Yeah.
But he got his application accepted. So
there's no.
No, exactly. No, but that's at the end of the day. We're not changing the use. There's a lot of public support. Our next door neighbour who we share a wall with, she's German and she's got a company that brings over German tourists, and she used to use the B&B to like house her guests. So she's very excited that that we'll be opening back up. But that's it. Yeah, we're not changing the use.
You going for any like special design features, or how's the kind of finish is going to be? Or are you doing that?
Yeah, I don't really know how to describe it. We've got CGIs of kind of what the finished product's going to look like. It's a mixture of modern and sort of with traditional sort of tweed curtains and things. We don't want to be too Scottish. We don't want to have that too tartan curtains.
You've got to have the shortbread, mate.
Well, exactly. No, but that's the plan. Yeah, consumables. We're going to have little sort of welcome things of local
aromatics.
Exactly, with the local businesses and things. Try and support the local communities.
I know, that's cool. I like it. Because once you get into, you could. I can understand how people look at that, and I think it was there's a lot of people doing it at the moment, but other people that we've had on the podcast recently, David Liddell, he's doing one. I think they've just bought a hotel.
He's got 3, I think, on that. Yeah, potentially
up in Montrose or something like that. I think he's
on the golf course.
Yeah, so and then Jill Green's doing one as well, Park Hotel, and then.
It's an opportunity for it, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it is really good.
I've also bought it's in legals at the moment, but on behalf of a client, we've bought a townhouse in Edinburgh City Centre, and that's kind of his plan. It's an office block at the moment, and that's his number one option will be to turn that into sort of a part hotel.
Yeah.
Just in the centre of
town.
I think
that office, that kind of working from home now, which has made a lot of these buildings just empty now. I think there's good opportunity there too.
Yeah.
Because the councils are looking to kind of regenerate city centres as well, because there's I don't know what it's like in Edinburgh, but you walk into Glasgow now on a Saturday afternoon. It used to be, it was actually a Facebook clip of, a now and then, when it used to be like in the 1990s, you would walk down Sauchiehall Street and it was like literally like you couldn't move on a Saturday afternoon. Now you go and it's just dead, it's just empty, So that whole change, potentially there is opportunities there.
Yeah, no, for sure. And that's it. That's kind of the key, is finding commercial property. It's if you do have to get a change of use planning, it's much easier to go from commercial, because you're not losing. I think what Fiona touched on, you're not losing that residential stock. Is what kind of is the main thing. Yeah. Even though she touched on that, at the end of the day, it's like the example of Sky, and like it's only going to be someone's second home, and then some wealthy person from London.
So political as well. The other ones we talked to on this were what was in it? Sorry, her name's just totally gone. They operated up in Canusi.
Oh yeah.
I can't.
Oh, Maria.
Yeah, Maria.
Yeah.
And her husband that came.
Thompson.
Aye.
Okay.
Was his name Gordon?
Gordon. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, they've got one up in Canusi.
Okay.
And again, they were met with quite a lot of pushback from the local community.
Right.
Because I just think a lot of these places they're just kind of anti people making money a lot of the time.
I know.
But eventually, I think they got.
The thing is, that's the thing. If they did, it's going to be good for the local community, for the local economy, bringing tourists.
They can't see the long term benefits.
Yeah.
They just anyway.
Bizarre.
Did you see you had something else on the go as well at the moment, or not?
Yeah. So then we've got another development just in Corstorphine. We're doing a house flip, or an assisted sale. So we're working with
the same business partner.
Yeah.
Nice. Is that just something to bring in more capital to go
exactly.
into that?
Yes, that's it. So that's again, somebody came to us, sort of seeing if we could find a buyer. We proposed to them that we came in and did the renovation, make it worth a lot more on the market. So plan with them, just get that up on the market, hopefully sort of end of springtime. Corstorphine?
Edinburgh.
In Edinburgh.
Yeah. And did you manage to find a solicitor okay, or was that hard to find a solicitor to facilitate that one?
The agreement.
Did you say it's just
the sale? We've got we've got sort of a partnership agreement with the owner. That's all fine. That's all signed off.
That's the one thing that people say that it's hard to get sometimes.
Yeah.
We just had Lindsay on, a solicitor that we were talking to there, and she was like, I don't touch them. And I think a lot of solicitors are like that. I think they're scared because the Law Society, they produce guidelines, and I think the guidelines say that they shouldn't go down that route. Okay. So I think a lot of solicitors are kind of
Well, I think that's also you need to trust the people you're doing it with. So we kind of had a relationship with that guy anyway, the owner. I
think that's the key to it. And it can work really well in those situations.
Exactly. So,
can you talk us through the numbers on that, or is that?
Sort of agreed sale price to them, 400k. and then we'll be about 100 renovation. That's kind of the budget, and then hoping for 600,
Nice.
probably at least 600, maybe we get up to 650. So
and your part, and that's the $100,000 renovation cost as well, because they're not in paying them the 400 once the sales complete.
we've gone 50-50 on the rental costs
With the owner.
Oh,
that's good one. Nice.
And then just do profit share at the end. So we both take 50k back from the initial
Nice.
profits, and then split the rest.
So it could be fairly decent.
Yeah,
profit
so
margins as well.
potentially 50 grand profit for each of us, which would be.
And your business partner's doing the development on that one as well.
Yeah,
experience.
well, it's the two of us, working on that. The same build team that are coming across both.
And I think
both
that's
sites.
the other thing to point out on the assisted sale is that I think that's where it gets a bad rap as well, because potentially where it could go wrong is the seller
Yeah.
sometimes feels like they're getting done
Shafted.
out,
Yeah.
shafted.
So that's it. That was the key in part putting the agreement together. Was just like make sure everyone's happy that
Aye.
it's a fair deal. Oh, it's 50-50 on everything. So it's.
I've heard
as fair
of
as
people
possible.
working with actually landlords, recently
Yeah.
that are wanting to exit, who are pretty clued up on investments, and money, and stuff like that, and they know exactly what they're getting into.
Yeah,
and that can work as well.
for sure. Yeah, and at the end of the day, they're going to make more money out of it in the long term.
Aye.
So it's just maybe give them 4 months or whatever to actually get it sold, but they're going to make
I
more
think
money.
that's a great strategy.
Aye.
Like
I know what you mean. Like if I was sitting there trying to sell my house and someone came in and was like, look, let me do this and then I'll profit more from it and then but wait 6 months.
Exactly.
Well, if it's structured in a fair way and it's
absolutely.
it's a bit of a no-brainer for everyone.
Aye.
And then you guys are still looking for another par hotel to fit the same model you're doing as well.
That would be the plan. Yeah.
Any
Again,
areas you're looking at in particular, or just
so ideally, Edinburgh City Centre would be ideal eventually sort of St Andrews. We've said we'd like to sort of diversify around the country, something maybe even West Coast, up and around the Highlands somewhere. Sort
under
of
like a same brand and a same.
That's the idea. So have a brand with each location serve as a separate name. That's kind of where we'd hope to go.
Nice. Exciting times, John.
What
What about the kind of sourcing side of things and all that? Did you ever pursue that further then?
This is something I was keen to go on to, because you're doing something a bit different with this now as well.
Yeah. So obviously with Cox & Co, did quite a lot of investment sourcing, portfolio buying and selling, individual units.
And did you tap into that any of that rugby network, or did you just start?
Unfortunately, that's kind of one of the reasons I was wanting to get into property back in Edinburgh. Was I've got a great network within the sort of rugby community in Edinburgh, and doing the investment sourcing, I wasn't really able to engage with that network of mine. Just sort of the guys I know are sort of more at the higher end of the market. So there's a guy I know, Jamie McNeil, with Prime Edinburgh Property, who's been doing the residential buying agency, sort of a realtor model from America. Again, not dissimilar to what Cox & Co are doing. It's kind of the broker model, but specialising in sort of £1 million plus. People relocating from London or America, or people upsizing, downsizing. Within Edinburgh, we get access. We're direct to vendor with quite a lot just from our contacts. We know some sellers that are trying to sell off market. If we can introduce a buyer, get a sale done nice and privately, or also through the agents that I'm friendly with in the Edinburgh market, we can get access to potentially completely off market properties or pre-market opportunities where they might go and appraise a house, and then they've kind of got a 2-week window before it's going to the market. If we've got anybody that might want that property, they give us early access, and we get an opportunity to wrap it up before it goes to the market.
Nice. So if you come on board as a self-employed agent then to do these deals?
So I've still got sort of my own business alongside Jamie.
What's the name of that company then?
Well, it's currently Prime Edinburgh Property, but we're going to go through a bit of a rebrand in the next few months.
Are you in there quite? Are you really enjoying this then? Are you thinking this?
No, there's some huge potential in it. Again, my main focus is on the sort of development stuff, and that is my main. And my whole sort of time in property is the development stuff that I'm interested in. But certainly, I think there's some big potential in sort of doing the buying agency as well alongside it.
How did Jamie get into this niche then?
Well, he's, again, been in sort of property for 15, 20 years, estate agencies, working with Savills and things.
All the higher end.
The higher end properties. He was selling a lot of that higher end stuff.
And a lot of buyers, or a lot of sellers from higher end properties don't want people just nosing at their house. They'd like.
No, and that's exactly what we find. So that's why we get these opportunities at off market. Again, a lot of people would say, why would someone sell off market? Why wouldn't you want to expose it, get as much exposure as possible to hopefully go to a closing date, to hopefully get as much as possible, which obviously that does happen sometimes.
But you're just going to get a lot of nosy people.
But then that's it.
Daydreaming.
That's it. And then so you put a £3-4 million house up in Newtown or in the Grange in Edinburgh, and that's it. It's a beautiful house, and people just want to come and have a nosy around.
Nosy buggers.
It's a bit more private.
Off air there that we did that on Tuesday with the flip project. We knew there was loads of nosy neighbours in the local area that were interested in the house we had been renovating. Yeah. So rather than put it on the market and the estate agent and going, oh my God, this is amazing, the phone's ringing off the hook, and you're getting this kind of false perception of, oh yes, this is going to sell at closing day. Go, no, we'll just do an open day before it even goes
on the market. Get all the nosy neighbours out the way.
Tuesday night, that was fucking rammed. Like there must have been 60, 70 people within that hour space. And it was really, really nice because the neighbours are really supportive. We've supported the local communities and the cafes and got to know the owners as you do in these wee villages. But like some of the people came in with like, there's a picture from me in 1954 when I lived here, and it was nice to let her walk through it and see.
Did you run out of cupcakes?
No, actually, I had 25 extra ones to take to school yesterday from Maya, but they donated cupcakes in the local village.
A few extra listeners for the podcast.
Aye. Hopefully they're not listening now. I'm calling them nosy neighbours.
Aye.
But yeah, you're right, the way people do want to see how, especially like, something that they aspire to, or look or ideas. It's that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm sure people that are multi-million-pound property owners don't want everyone just traipsing to their house. No,
and there's a lot more flexibility for the sellers, a lot more flexibility in timing and price. Again, sort of if you go to open market, you've got to put a price on it. There's a home report done, you've got to put a price on it. So almost sometimes people will even just like test the market with, right, look, we'll look to do a private sale. It could be for 6 months. If they get the price they want, then perfect. If it still doesn't sell, they might consider going to the market at that point. So again, it's just we get those opportunities. We get in early when it is off market and it's kind of exclusive to us.
Just describe that process then. So you're, luxury kind of higher end sort of stuff. Are you talking about £1 million plus, or what's it?
Yeah. Well, I think we've got a couple sort of searches on the go. There's one up to 6 million.
Is it? Because like through in Glasgow, like there's only about 2 houses on the market that are £1 million plus. But
no, the areas in Edinburgh, it's sort of Inverleith, Trinity.
When you say searches, are these people that have come to you to say, this is what I want?
Yeah, retained clients who've got a search criteria.
And what do they pay you up front then for them?
You get a sort of, there's different levels of the service, but if you're sort of fully retained, sort of, upfront fee and then a percentage on completion. Well, that fee's taken off the
so you go out then and search for what their criteria is.
So you're a buying agent and then you take a commission of the overall...
The negotiated purchase price,
Purchase price.
But that's, so the full process, again, so there'll be a lot of busy professionals, a partner at PwC or whoever, wanting to buy a £3 million house but doesn't have time to be running around doing viewings. So we can collate, we might go view 10 places for them and then can collate 3 of the best that fit their criteria. Okay. They then come out, view those 3, might buy one of them, and then we can obviously negotiate the deal directly with the agent and
so you're like
get the best price possible for them.
You're like the Ryan Serhant of Edinburgh then.
Maybe one day.
See that guy? No, that's cool. So
I've always thought there's a little niche in it, but it just seems like kind of Nick touched on, like there's not a huge amount of properties for sale in Scotland that are over the £1 million plus, but there isn't much buying agents for that, so it's you can capture it in a niche. You're maybe the go-to guys.
That must be fun though, eh? That must be cool.
Yeah, see a few nice.
I've always thought there must be, it's getting access to these properties, because I've always thought as a wee kind of side, just a wee passion project, I would love to do like a YouTube channel on like luxury properties in Scotland. Go round, but it's getting the access, isn't it? Like,
and he's getting access for you.
Getting into folks' homes.
I don't know what my clients would think about you.
Exactly, but in terms of content, man, I mean, it must, you must be able to get some great video shares and viral stuff as well. So if you look on Instagram, like some of these stuff, some of these just through like the agents like Renovating and all that, as soon as they put up these country houses and estates and all the rest of it, the shares and the views that they get go through the roof. So how are you finding that whole industry then? So you I presume that you're networking with a lot of these agents then that are
selling
these properties.
Yeah, wealth managers and the solicitors and all the sort of professionals that these high net worths work with. Obviously speaking to them, making sure they know what this service is out there. So your mortgage brokers, so when their client goes, oh, I'm thinking about moving house, or I can't find the house I want, they know that there is that service available, because it's not common in Scotland. Nobody really knows about a buying agency, whereas in the likes of London and America, you wouldn't buy a house at a high end in London, you wouldn't buy a house without a buying agent. So it is just getting the word out there that this service is available. It might it cost you 1% of the transaction, but at the end of the day, it's opportunities you wouldn't know about if you didn't speak to someone like us, or again, in the negotiation, if it's not good, if you save yourself going to closing date, you probably save at least the fee that you're paying us off that purchase price.
And have you had any successful, have you had any ones that you've been able to find for you? Is it just a new thing that you started?
New
you had any transactions go through yet?
Nothing's completed yet. We've got quite a few viewings lined up next week. I was just on the phone with a few clients on the way through here this morning. I'm just going to line up a couple of townhouses in the new town. I'm just going to get them through a few doors next week.
And if somebody was to approach you that was going to sell off market, would they pay you a fee as well as the buyer paying you a fee as well?
No, so we just act for the buyer.
Right.
There obviously is sometimes people want to sell off market, but that's it. We don't want to sort of be in the middle of two sides. So we might refer that across to one of the estate agents.
Aye, so if you're taking 1%,
conflict of interest.
You only really need, if you're talking about that level, you don't need to sell that many properties, you don't need to source or buy that many properties, do you? So in terms of obviously your rugby career's finished, so that was your day job, if you like, for a long time, your income. Where does the main income come from now, and how do you live day to day now?
So that's it. Well, working with Cox & Co for the last sort of 18 months, that was it. I was looking back the other day. I think in the last 18 months, I managed to buy and sell sort of about £13 million worth of property, brokered deals, which I was quite surprised at.
How much, sorry?
About 13-14 million.
Brilliant.
So that was obviously commission off that. I was self-employed with Cox & Co, so it was commission based, sort of eat what you kill. So I didn't get all those fees. So some of that went to Cox & Co. So that was has been the main source of income for the past 18 months. And then now on to, sort of the South Queens Ferry project. We'll hopefully get up and running, get some money coming in from that. Hopefully get the house in Corstorphine sold sort of at springtime, be a bit of money coming in there.
But some of these high end houses sold.
That's it.
But how much of your time are you gonna commit to? Because you've got a few things going on, haven't you?
Yeah.
So you need to kind of say, right, I'm going to allocate that time to sourcing the properties. I'm gonna, so how could you see that panning out? Where's the bulk of your time going to be spent?
Well, it is, again, with the development side of things, because I've got a business partner in there, he's kind of the project manager of that. So I'll do a couple of days a week, and then I'll go and check on the sites and see that. But it's not kind of an awful lot for me to do. Again, the build team's there to do the work. Just going to make sure they're ticking along. But again, share that workload with my business partner, so that works out quite well. So then I'm able to spend quite a bit of time on the buying agency. Again, it is just a new thing that's only been sort of last month or so.
There's going to be a lot of coffee, isn't there? A lot of trying to build up, meetings and relationships.
Well, that's I get. It is. It's just getting that word out there. Because again, I know through my network, it's kind of already there. So it's just making sure they all know what it is.
It's amazing though, because it's such a different demographic. For me, not being familiar with Edinburgh, but over the last, especially since COVID and work from home and all the rest of it, you guys will know this better than me, but your buyers, London buyers and all that as well, isn't there? There's these people that are coming up from England buying. And for them,
if they sell a flat in London for £2 million, then they can buy whatever they want up in Edinburgh, basically.
Overseas market as well, people coming in from overseas.
Well, Americans, it's quite common. And again, it's sort of easier for us because Americans are used to, they know that there's a buying agent. So if they wanted to buy a place in Scotland, they're living in America. They're not here to do the running around. They understand the whole buying agency.
They're already happy.
They're looking for someone to do it. So yeah, it becomes a bit of an easier sell. You're not selling; they're wanting you. Whereas you're trying to educate someone locally. I think, I don't know, the value. Well, we certainly believe the value is there, and it's a bit of a no-brainer to use someone like us, because that's what we speak to some clients who maybe don't then decide to come on board, but they give us our criteria. We know that there's like 3 properties off market that we could get them into if they just retained us. And then decide not to, and they'll think we'll find something ourselves, open market, like on Rightmove, and they might come back to us in the future.
Did you ever look at Dubai at all? Go out there as an agent or anything, or
not really? Nah. I was actually chatting to some boys earlier about that. So if you listen to was it with you guys, the podcast with Callum White? No, I think it was Jack Carlin, Callum White, White and Co. out there.
We have spoken to Callum White a while back. Okay. Yeah. But this might be another one you're referring to.
So I think there was one just last year at some point. You listen to the stories, you think, God, you need to get yourself out there. But I think I remind myself, I think everybody's going out there in the same situation. Nobody's got a network out there, really. And you start from scratch and you're just cold calling and whereas I don't like that cold calling stuff. So yeah, I don't think it'd be for me.
Plus, you see you're married now as well.
Yeah,
you got settled down and all that. And
young man's game out there.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice one, mate. So honestly, I appreciate you coming in and taking time to chat to us. It's good to get that story from early on as well, and with the part hotels and the buying agents. So hopefully in the next couple of years when we get you back on, there's more news on them fronts.
That'd be good fun.
Right, once you get that place, once you buy that place in Biarritz, I'll definitely be coming down for you.
Well, that's the
get
plan.
My softball out.
Let's get a few of these apart hotels up and going, and we'll get an apartment back.
Did you like it down there though? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's brilliant, isn't it? Love it.
Like Hossegger, Cabreton. That's the kind of plan, is to try and get an apartment down there.
Brilliant. I'll speak to you about that separately. Yeah. We're going down again this year. We're going to do a week in Viable Coates, just up from Oscar, and we're going to do a week there now, a week down in Spain as well.
Lovely.
So. Nice one.
That's right. Good stuff. Right,
thanks
for having me.
Thank you. Catch you. Cheers.